Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to our exciting roundtable entitled Closing the Resource Loop with Sustainable Technologies. A bit of background about the roundtable. While the pandemic has accelerated a societal shift in the way we live and work, new opportunities are emerging for sustainable materials and technologies. This roundtable will include 4 presentations that focus on recycling and upcycling ocean plastics, waste paper, and other biomaterials, with an emphasis on closing the resource loop. After the presentations, we'll open the floor up to your questions and general discussion. So, if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat window during the presentations, and we'll try to answer as many as possible in the discussion at the end. And now, to introduce our lineup of speakers. So, we have Michel Stepper, is the Managing Director of Sequel Initiative. He's a true entrepreneur with extensive experience leading companies, always challenging people to think outside the box. He's passionate about the challenges of green growth. And for the last four years, Michel has been designing and developing the Sequel Initiative model, engaging over 1,300 companies and brands in more than 60 countries. But this is just the beginning. Michel considers these last 4 years to be just the start of a journey to develop ecosystems across the world, and by doing so, encouraging global communities to embrace the UN's SDGs as part of their DNA, and that begins with the Arch, an inspirational project aimed at encouraging European countries to make the ecological transition. After this, we have Professor Ali Harlan, who is a material scientist and VTT research professor in the field of bioeconomy. His responsibilities include the industrial application of bio-based materials, and he is developing new methods and products that use renewable raw materials and generate new sustainable value chains and reduce our dependency on oil and the carbon footprint of consumption. He has previously worked in industries with Borealis and Nokia, and is the inventor of several patents, for example, Borstar technology, and has been involved with several startups, most recently Infinited Fiber Company Limited. Then we have Berenger Gazania, who is a sustainability manager for Epson Europe. Epson is a global technology firm, perhaps best known for its consumer and industrial printers, but it's also the world's largest manufacturer of projectors, a leading producer of robots, and a pioneer in new technologies such as augmented reality smart glasses. As a Japanese company, Epson has sustainability at its core, and today, Berenger will introduce an exciting new technology called Paper Lab that recycles paper using virtually no water. And to include our presentations, we hear from Henning Olsen, Director of Sustainability for Epson Europe and Managing Director of Epson Germany. Seen as one of the top global influencers on CSR, Henning is passionate about the environment and fighting the causes of climate change. Because seeing is believing, Henning will be treating us all to a live demonstration of Paper Lab. So without further ado, it's our pleasure to hand you over to Michel Stepper.
Thanks, Bruno. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here at the SDG Summit Roundtable. So today I would like to introduce you Sequel Initiative. So maybe just a brief introduction about the words, the name Sequel Initiative, because this is, sorry, Bruno, can you come back just at the first slide, please? Perfect, fantastic. So the meaning of Sequel means sea, as you can see, aqua and qual, quality of water, and in the center you've got equal, a man trash equal another man treasure. So that's why our claim is together for a clean ocean. So I will try to bring you into a sequel journey, because we are really considering us as a journey with a permanent evolving model to fight marine pollution and help local coastal communities. Thanks, Bruno. If you can jump into the second slide. Thanks. So I will not go too much in details, because all of us now, we know today that there is a big concern regarding marine pollution, marine litter. And this is just some figures just to remind that's the size of the problem. Slide 3, please. And unfortunately, all of us now, we know that roughly 12 million tons of plastic are dumped in our ocean every year. So every year. So it's quite huge, huge challenge and huge concern. So this is why we started to develop Sequal initiative. Please next, Bruno. Right. Let me share with you some quick figures around this on this slide. If you look, so as mentioned just before, there are more than 12 million tons of which are dumped into the ocean every year. But what is quite impressive is if you see on the left upside of the slide, you can see that 9 millions of these 12 millions are coming from the land-based coastal. So which means that that's one thing to clean, but we have also to act to stop, because every year it's coming through the land. And finally, just a last information here I would like to share. It's maybe small in your screen, but finally, at the end, only 1% of the plastic is still floating on the surface. So this shows that we need to really stop and also to act quickly. Please, next slide, please. Right. So let's display now a quick video, inspirational videos showing that how Sequal initiative upcycle marine plastic. Please. Right, so this video, as I explained, is just showing how we upcycle marine plastic, but Sequal is far more than just upcycling marine plastic, and I will explain this during the presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, so we are, Sequal Initiative works with ocean cleanup around the world, as you might have seen briefly on the short inspirational video, in order to bring value and recreate value from the waste, which has been recovered. Next, please. Our model is based on a global approach. Why global? Because the pollution is global. Climate change is also a global concern. The world is global and the economy is global. But solutions are only possible locally. We need to customize each time solution considering the territory where we are acting. So the approach is to develop a global platform providing solutions for local communities. This is our model. Next, please. What we are aiming is circularity. So even as a starting point, because I mentioned to you at the beginning that I wanted to take you into the Sequal journey. So for us, the starting point is cleaning, but it doesn't make sense just to clean if we continue to that. So we have got different pillars, I will explain later, but for us, circularity is and specifically circularity of coastal territories are the ultimate and mature goals and the ultimate goals. So by eliminating plastic waste, by creating value in waste. Please, next. And the DNA of Sequal initiative is collaboration, connecting businesses, communities, consumers also, because Sequal is a brand, is an ingredient brand, and this around the world. And because we believe that there is no one size fits solution, and only collaboration can make possible what is impossible alone. So this is a very key word for us. I don't know if you see correctly here, this slide, for me not too much, but at least here what we try to show you is how we interact different cross communities between scientists or public authorities, NGOs, association, cleanup, and also industries and brand and consumers and communities. That's the way we are interacting, and that's the way that Sequal has developed this ecosystem. Please, next. Right. So as Bruno explained briefly during the brief introduction, since the last 4 years we developed this model. I will come back also on this model, but at least after just starting really from scratch, starting in Spain first, focusing on revaluing marine PET for the textile industry as a starting point, and with the objective to move ahead cross region, cross type of plastic waste and cross type of market and application and communities. We have already engaged more than 1,300 companies and brands in more than 60 countries. And we are proud to say and pleased to say that every month, this community, business community, is growing by 30 to 40 new companies joining us. So it's an exponential model. Please, next. Right. So here, what I wanted to show you here on this slide, or to express on this slide, that Sequal is not just creating upcycled marine plastic product, which with this model. So for example, Sequal yarn was the first upcycled marine plastic, knowing that we are extending our product portfolio. But more than that is how we are, as a brand, which is creating consistency on materials, which also securing capacity to engage industries and companies to switch using virgin materials with upcycled marine plastic. At the same time, by securing the capacity, at the same time, creating an affordable premium with the strong value of Sequal brand, which we have created, and also securing the traceability. What we are doing is also engaging company and providing company services to support the CSR strategy and marketing and brand activation marketing strategy to inspire consumer. Because in our economic model, briefly, I would like to express that we need to solve 4 parameters. First, as I mentioned, consistency. Secondly, capacity. Third, the premium, because we need to create a value around this waste that nobody cares. This is what we've done. And securing the traceability, enabling companies and brands to use this upcycled product in order to inspire their consumers, because they are brands, and the brand, what is a brand is a difference which drive a preference. So Sequal is enhancing the value perceived for the brands of companies working with us, becoming Sequal licensee and helping us to fight against marine pollution. So as a quick example here, with one of the leading producer in the bedding industry, we develop brand activation activities with event, videos, beach cleanup activities. Please, next.
When I fall asleep, I dream of living underwater. Between all that beauty, but also amidst those mean plastic beasts, polluting our oceans and harming sea life. But then one day, a big net came, catching all the rubbish and restoring the ocean's balance. From those plastics, smart technology makes textile fibres that could create anything, like comfy beds or cozy pillows, to dream even more. Do good, sleep well, with Sequel, by Baycart Desley.
This is a good example. So next slide, for example, just to show you what we provide to company. This was the launch of the new Fiat 500 and Panda hybrid, and also the 500 electrical. And you can have a very short video here, which is a TV campaign developed by Fiat with Sequal initiative on the right side of the slide, just to show type of activities.
And I love you so. The people ask me how I lived till now.
Introducing the new 500 and Panda hybrid, the first hybrids from Fiat, with recycled plastic seeds collected from the seas, and the new hybrid engine that reduces emission up to 30%.
Okay, thanks. So for example, in the car seat, you can see written Sequal, and the communication is based on Sequal. Here on the video, you might not have seen, but it's clearly stated. That's the way. So that's some example of activities we provide to company to enhance the value perceived of their product, but also their activities, their brand and CSR strategy. Next, please, Bruno, quickly, because I think we are maybe a little bit in delay on my side. So that's also some activities with insurance company we are organizing for brand activation, CSR, and beach cleanup activities, for example. Next step, next one. No need, we can go. And just to end the last one with our dear Epson friends, that was a project driven together in South Europe in order to support their advanced digital technology using lower energy, lower water impact. And we developed a full project in order to engage university and the industry, textile industry, using more to support their eco-conception and eco-design in the textile industry, thanks to Epson technology, digital technology, and also Sequal yarn. That was a brief introduction about what we are doing, and I was very pleased to have been able to do so and to be part of the roundtable after.
En 2050 habrá más plásticos que animales en los mares.
That's finished.
Bicircular.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Michel. We're just getting the slides organized for the next presentation. Professor Ali Harlan, and just waiting for the slides to become available.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay. So I hope that I also see the actual presentation, but like if we go for the first slide, please, so that So the development of textile is in a turning point. So we have two different development roads ahead of us. One is that we are looking more and more the renewable raw materials to uncouple the CONEX and the fossil. Source for textile is oil, and that is polyester. But we are looking increasingly the cellulosic-based raw materials. The other road is to look at the reuse and recycling and extend the life cycles of the textiles. And why we do that is that textiles are today the second most polluting industry and main contributor of microplastics. And if we take the next slide, so that so EU at the moment is building a strategy on textile, and it's built on 3 pillars. So there is a traceability. So we need to know where our textile is coming from. It's the recycling and the life cycle of it as an assessment. So there are several legislations which are upcoming. There is a coherence what we need between those. There is a eco-design, there is a digital product passport, there is a different kind of material legislations, as well the trademark development. So keyword is coherence. And next one, please. So what we need to go ahead is ambitious goals. And one of those is that to replace the oil-based materials, and typically, of course, our solution from the Finland is cellulose-based. So that provides you a biodegradable, comfortable way also to overcome the issues related to cotton. But it's not only for forest, it's also those which are coming from the side streams from the fields. The other portion is the recycling of that. And like there is always a balance between these two, and they have to be present at the same time. And in Finland, we have already made a kind of a kickstart for this. So it's estimated that 45% of end life textiles are already now separately collected. And the separate collection of textile is nationwide active already 2023, which is two years ahead from that of what EU has committed. And if we look at, say, the next slide, please, so that the Finnish textile industry is now making a recovery and kind of a miracle. So we have developed several technologies to convert cellulosic materials. That includes a wood-based cellulose, agri-based cellulose, as well as recycled cotton, and even materials like recycled paper to textile fibers. And we have developed new technologies like ionic liquids, a new low harm alkaline technologies, and fibril spinning, what is totally without a chemical loading. there are new startups, Nova, Infinited Fiber Company, Metsä Spring, and so on. The recycle of textile is also pronounced the way that we have established first factories for mechanical recycling, and those are to be combined with chemical recycling. And to conclude the vision, what we have in the last slide, so that by year 2050, to my grandchildren wearing clothes, they have a zero environmental impact on what they are wearing of. So PTT and our partners, so actually you have not changed the slide, please. So by 2050, my grandchildren wear clothes of zero environmental impact. And the last one, please. So that is what is the most important here. So we have to go beyond the obvious targets, and we have to close the loops in recycling, and we have to close the loops to get the renewable biodegradable materials for textiles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ali Harlan. It was very interesting, and please do feel free to ask questions. It would help when you're asking questions just to make sure you suggest who these might be directed to, or we'll direct these questions ourselves. But please do feel free to participate. We're coming up to our next presentation, which is by Berenger Gazagna, Sustainability Manager for Epson Europe. Over to you.
Thank you, Will. So as a company, Epson is fully committed to contribute to the SDGs, and we at Epson, we strongly believe in the power of innovation to sustain this contribution. So this is the reason why Epson has created the Paper Lab, which is a unique innovation that advances the frontiers of the industry to bring more circular economy into daily activities. So what is Paper Lab? Paper Lab, it's the world's first office paper-making system that turns waste paper into new paper using a dry process on site and on demand. So how does it work? Paper Lab is based on a dry fiber technology that uses 3 different processes. The first one is defibration, in which the used paper is reduced to fibers. The second one is binding, that adds strength and color to the material. And the final process is forming, which shapes the new sheets of paper by adding pressure. And in the end, users get new sheets of paper they can immediately use. So the key benefits of such a technology are directly linked and consistent with the SDGs by preserving water and wood resources, and also by preventing CO2 emissions by comparison with a traditional paper-making system. And this innovation and its benefits have been internationally recognized and granted several awards in Japan as well as in Europe. So let's focus a bit more on the added value of Paper Lab. For example, until now, companies had to hire contractors to handle the disposal of confidential documents. With Paper Lab, they can quickly and safely, that's important, dispose of documents on site via a certified process while making new paper at the same time. With the production performance up to 720 A4 sheets per hour, Paper Lab can upcycle up to 6 tons of paper a year to make a wide array of new paper and new documents. The paper itself has been tested and certified for durability. I mentioned earlier the dry fiber technology, and indeed, this is one of the main environmental assets of Paper Lab. As Michel reminded us earlier, we are all aware that water is precious. This is a valuable resource that must be preserved. And we know that the traditional paper making process usually uses 50 to some 120 liters per ream of 500 sheets. With the dry fiber technology, Paper Lab can reduce the water consumption up to 98% per ream. As a result, Paper Lab completes a full printing ecosystem that allows users to limit their environmental impacts, as well as increasing safety and security for data. It contributes to a more circular economy by creating a shorter paper cycle and by closing the loop on site. We all know that seeing is believing. Therefore, I would like to yield the floor to Henning Olsson, Director of Sustainability at Epson Europe, who will show you Paper Lab in action.
Thank you, Bérengère. Over to you, Henning. This is the bit we're looking for. You're on mute, Henning. Henning, you're on mute.
I heard that several times, even today. Henning, you are on mute. But this is the downside. But anyway, I'm very, very happy that technology helps us to run this conference. As you learned, Bruno is sitting somewhere in England in a small little cottage with a huge library on the backside. Michel is sitting in southern France, I think, in Lyon. Is Lyon, right? Okay. And Professor Ali is sitting in Finland, and Bérengère in Paris. I'm sitting here in Meerbusch. Meerbusch is a little village close to Düsseldorf, Germany, where we have as Epson our Industrial Solution Center. A lot of technology is in there. And this is, for me, the chance really to show you one of these core environmental technologies that is Epson Paper Lab. Bérengère has given you the rough data around it. So a live demonstration. You probably hear it from the background, a little bit noisy because the machine has already started producing. We can see, I can see some paper over there coming out, but we will see in a minute. Yeah. So I get the sign that everything is okay. Paper is producing. I will switch the camera. Here we are. With the camera, that's how we will notice anything. What Bérengère explained to us, yes, we have printed paper like this, color, laser paper, inkjet paper. And as paper price is increasing, you will see that probably next year, that if you buy office paper or fine art paper, prices will increase by 20%. And it makes absolutely, from cost point of view, sense to keep this value, this material in the loop, this resource keeping in the loop. From the environmental aspect, of course, from the sustainability aspect, for a long-term vision, of course, you have to keep this material in the loop. So the machine works like this. You put the paper into the tray as the machine is already running. This is the tray, and the process inside is that the paper is fitted in, and this is a mechanical process. So the paper will be extracted mechanically into the fibers, So I'll give you one explanation here. If you go into a normal shredding of paper, it looks like this, yeah? But the machine goes even further. That is destructing the fibers into micro powders. By the way, this is the most secured way on data security, on destruction on media. It's not, the information is no longer restorable, yeah? This is a little powder, yeah? So then the machine brings this powder into a process of binding. And after the binding, this is the forming of the paper. This is all in this cycle here. And then comes the output. And you can see output, probably you can see with the camera, paper output. So this is the paper lab paper. It's a little, looks a little gray, of course, because the machine is extracting toner and ink fibers, but to a certain extent only, using the fibers that are possible to be reused. And follow me now to the printer. You can put it into the slot here and restart the cycle of office printing again. We can have a copy, for example, pushing the copy here. And now getting out a copy on paper lab paper. Where is it coming? It's coming. Paper lab paper. So what else can we do with this technology? Yeah, keeping the resource in the loop. We are producing our sustainability report on paper lab paper, for example. But I want to highlight something else. And this is the future of that dry fiber technology. That is, for example, isolation material. And this is the industrial use, the industrial solution of that dry fiber process. And of course, a huge market is coming into packaging. Packaging out of a fiber, reuse packaging, bring the resources back into the loop. Subsidizing, for example, styrofoam in packaging. This is what Epson will do with this technology. So that is done. The demonstration is done. I'm heading back to Bruno. And if you have questions, I'm still available to answer this. Many thanks, dear friends.
And many thank you, Henning. That was absolutely fantastic. I mean, so many things could have gone wrong, and they didn't. So we're all really happy with that. So now we have the opportunity to ask questions and open the forum up to discussion amongst the panel. And we do have some questions already. We have a question first up to everybody. And the question, and I think we'll start by putting this to Michel initially, but how is it prevented that the recycled plastic processed into textiles does not carry any toxins bound to it and does not end up in the environment as fibers or microplastics during use or washing?
Okay, so the process to revalue the marine plastic is exactly the same process that we are using for recycling, in this case PET, because the yarn is in PET, it's PET yarn. It's impossible to revalue marine plastic, 100% marine plastic, because as you said, there is also some risk of pollution. So what we do, we have a concentration where we are using a 90-10. So the yarn is 100% PET, recycled PET. I speak only for the yarn. Huh? This is different depending the different type of material. But regarding the PET that we are using, so 90%, 85 to 90% is recycled PET that we are mixing with 10 to 15% of marine PET. So the tests which are done are showing that there is no risk, because the yarn is certified Ecotex standard, which is the highest, Ecotex 100 exactly, and that works, and there is no worries about that. Concerning microplastic, I mean, microplastic is a huge problem, and I think textile is one contributor. It's not the only one. Sequal is not about, we are not selling the yarn ourselves, huh? Because this is not, we are working with the industry. So the microfiber, the shareholders of Sequal are working on a European project to work on how to improve the water treatments to secure that when we process plastic during the textile process, that we can filter the water and secure that it's not entering anymore during the process. However, we all know that when we are washing garments, at least for when it's more about for staple fiber than really for filament, and we are mainly working on filament, that when you wash your garments, there is some microplastic entering into the water, and this is how it is. And the program is taking in consideration how also to equip washing machine with filter, and there are more and more washing machine with filter, and that's the way that it's happening. I want to also raise a point. Sequal is not about plastic. We started by plastic because it's plastic pollution. Our ultimate goal is the circular economy. So it's how we help local territories to a better inclusion. So we are using plastic as a start, but that's not, and if tomorrow there is no more plastic in the sea, we will be the first happy. You know? I want to secure to reassure the audience that's our main goal. That's not just to trade plastic. That's not the point. I hope I replied.
Thank you, Michel. That was very informative, actually, yes. We have a question for Professor Ali Harlan, which is around the environmental issues connected to cotton, which is considered a typically natural resource. What are the most severe environmental issues or most worrying environmental issues connected with cotton?
So typically we can have two main discussion. Number one is that you need a huge amount of fresh water, sweet water to hydrate the cotton. And the other one is the field, how much it occupies the field. And on the say farming of cotton, typically you need a heavy chemicals to protect the pesticides. So typically, like one T-shirt is more than a basin of water what is consumed to produce it. And the other point is that if we utilize because cellulose is the most abundant polymer on the planet. So all the plants which are growing are producing cellulose. All the cell walls are cellulose. So we can produce it from the other sources, whether they are virgin or they are recycled. So all cellulose can be utilized to make cellulosic fibers, which are replacing the cotton and are biodegradable.
Thank you, Ali. That's really helpful. We have a couple of questions for Henning around Paper Lab. One from Carolina for Henning and Beranger. She asks, the Epson dry fiber tech machine saves up to 90% water, but how much energy does it use?
You are on mute, Henning.
Add it on the overview. The kilowatt hour, 6 kilowatt hour. Now that is the energy consumption. You see that is a big there is a big use of energy, of course. It's not so easy to have 6,000 watt running to produce 700 sheets of paper. Of course, that has to be seen in the total footprint of the machine and the total LCA of the life cycle analysis of that machine. Of course, we recommend renewable electricity anyway. And if we want to go to carbon neutrality, you better switch to renewables. By the way, we at Epson, we have a strong commitment globally that we switch by 2023, and that is very, very soon, all our operations, including factories, including supply chain, including all our offices globally, to renewable electricity. So at the end of the day, if it comes to carbon footprint, yes, that has to be calculated into the cycle. If it comes to cost, that's a different aspect. But if it comes to carbon footprint, it has to come renewable energy into the machine. Same with e-cars. If you charge your e-car with coal-produced electricity, that is not worthwhile to drive an electric car. You have to put renewable electricity in to work on the footprint.
Thank you. And a couple more questions around Paper Lab. I think I'll put them together. So from Maurizio for Henning and Beranger, how much time does the Paper Lab process take? Can it run overnight? And supplementary from Eva, again for Henning and Beranger, what will happen to ink and toners on ready printed paper during the Paper Lab process? So the first question is, can it run overnight? And then the second is around, you know, the ink residues on the paper.
Yes, Beranger, if you want to answer. Yeah. Yes, it can run overnight. Yeah, but is it a question of productivity? If you want to do that 24/7, or is that a question on how how secure is a process? Yes, that needs service time, of course, and you have to bring feed paper in and take out of the tray the printed paper out. Yeah. The question is, how much is that into your workflow? And from the technology side point of view, yes, it can run overnight, but you have to maintain it as well. And the other question was?
So the other question was, what happens to the ink and the toners?
Yeah. That is the more probably that is the technology question. Yeah. As I said, it's going into defibrating. Yeah, that is a mechanical destruction of the fibers, and the ink or toner printed or fibers that are with ink and toner that are taken out. Normally, that they are taken, they are shorter in the destruction process than all the others because the pigments are in there, and that goes out, mechanically goes out. That is the by the way the uniqueness of the machine, that these fibers are taken out of the process, and only the longer fibers are used for producing new paper.
Thank you, Henning. We have some other questions. We have actually a question for Ali here around should agent forest be protected instead of, being used as textiles?
So we don't just have one forest. We have several kind of forest. There is a definite reason to keep a larger quantities of agent forest protected and untouched. Then we have a forest wood is used and renewed steadily, and when we keep a certain portion of the forest in a fast growth phase, they absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as if they are agent, because like the agent forest, they just store the carbon, they don't absorb it too much. The fast growing forest is absorbing more the carbon dioxide. And if we are utilizing the soil, which is typically dry, not like a moist soil. Moist soil, when you cut the trees, you might emit a short time carbon dioxide quite a lot. But if you have a right forest, say for the commercial use, actually you are net absorbing the carbon dioxide from atmosphere.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, please do continue to put your questions. We have another question actually for Michel, and this is really, I guess it's an obvious one, but you don't really think about it. But how easy is it to recycle plastic from the ocean?
It's not easy. First, it's not easy because, as you can imagine, first, let's consider once again the waste industry. First, you have to clean, then you have to transport, then you have to sort. And then from the sorting, you have to bale. And for baling, you have to process into flake and flake into pellet. A recycler doesn't start to recycle until less, let's say, he's got on average, it's not rocket science, but around 30 tons of recyclable materials. So the first concern is the geography. how to create platform, because you should not go too far. At least you need to catalyze and work geographically. Then the second problem is about scaling the quantities in a way to be able to process and to fit with the requirement, the MOQ requirement from the recycler. And there are also then some technical limits where, okay, first we have to understand that the beauty of cleaning is to retrieve. That's the one thing, is to retrieve pollution. So second, inside of this marine litter, you don't have, all material are not recyclable, but the one which are still possible to recycle, it's good to bring back into circularity, into the economy. So, and also to leverage education, communication, and inspiring people with a new product and the activities in order to raise awareness. So in terms of material itself, there are some limits of how it's degraded, but when it's not, the degradation is still at a certain step possible to revalue it. That's why we are mixing with recycled PET land plastic, recycled land plastic, together to be able to bring back this waste which has been damaged. Otherwise, this is impossible. So this is what we do.
Is that the sequel yarn? Is that?
Yes, this is about sequel yarn. Maybe to be more specific, in our language, when we speak about upcycled marine plastic are plastic which has been retrieved from marine environments and which has been reprocessed. Inside of plastic, you've got, inside of marine litter, you've got different type of plastic. And you know, each type of plastic, it's a different industry, it's in different chemistry, and knowledge. So what we've done first, we focus on one of the most demanding industry, which is textile. We have focused our effort in recycling PET. Now we are moving ahead, and now we are, I can say that because that's brand new, but we succeed to revalue PP, marine PP, and we will launch soon marine PP. So it's another process, another industry, and another type of plastic. So the answer I gave you was concerning the sequel yarn, which is from now made from marine PET.
Great, thanks. We have another question now for Henning and Bérengère. They want to know whether the paper lab has actually been used in real life. If it is just a prototype. I mean, how is it going in actual reality?
Well, Bruno, the first customers the first users of Paper Lab were local authorities in Japan, for example, and they did use it a lot, for example, to create new forms quite successfully. And also, Paper Lab is coming to the European market as well. So definitely not, it's not a prototype, it's a real life product with real life uses.
So it's actually got some real users in Europe as well?
Yes, I can add to this information. We recently were happy to put to life our first Paper Lab installed at the customer side, private company customer. It's a bit early to say because we are planning, or the customer is planning a public announcement to this. So I will not announce that earlier. And there's a second customer in the public sector. First one is private sector, second one is public sector. We will announce in November. So the first two customers are here. So yes, in Japan we have around about 50 installations. In Europe it's very, very early. COVID was holding us back last year, even though we had contacts and discussions with customers, but as everybody moved into home offices, the machine is too big to install it in the home office. So, but now people are coming back into the office. There's the further need for further printing in the office, and customers are restarting the projects now. But very soon we are able to speak about these two important, very important, well-known customers here in Europe.
Great, thank you, Henning. Yeah, keep the questions coming. We have one for Ali, which is around how does the change of raw material base help in better equality and better working conditions? Is there a connection?
So when we are looking at the net effect on the recycling of textile, it will gradually lead to the point, a little bit like in the Epson as well, so that you want to produce your gears close to you. And so it means that we can take a part of that process, which is now outsourced. The third countries, we can say make it controlled way next door to us. That as well reduces the need of transportation. The other way around is that if we go more in a direction of regenerated cellulosic fibers, we are releasing the fields for other crops to be produced and farmed, and that is typically leading us towards a better income for the farmers, but also for the higher living standard and a better food economy global-wise.
Thank you, Ali. Yes, please, as I say, keep the questions coming in. We have another one. This is for Henning. He may or may not choose to answer this. We shall see. I think Tommy wants to know what the price of Paper Lab is. I mean, I don't know if this is a commercial interest going on here or he's just curious, but if you'd like to address that question, Henning.
Yes, and I'm not on mute. Yeah, that's a good question, because customers are coming straight saying, okay, how much is it? And that's not a good question, because traditional thinking is you have a piece of hardware, and this piece of hardware has a price, and this price is regulated by the market, as we all know. Competition. So this this solution has no competition. It's absolutely senseless to sell hardware to a customer, because here we have a new way on circular thinking, and we are not selling the hardware, we are selling the solution, and there are various possibilities. We will not resist if somebody says, okay, I give you X amount of euros and dollars, and but this customer will not be happy. He needs, of course, the training, the maintenance, the service. He needs the supply on the binding material and so forth. So better solution is, yes, you buy this on a contract basis. on a contract basis mean per sheet of paper, per a rental fee per month, or per year, or per lifetime, or try and buy. All these possibilities with a high flexibility for the customer, because it makes no sense to sell something where at the end of the day customer might be not happy because he's facing problems, and therefore we integrate the full service into our offer.
Great, thanks, Henning. And we have a couple more come in now about for Michel. Asking who actually performs the ocean cleanups.
As I mentioned, sorry, during the presentation, we are the DNA of SQL is collaboration. So we don't run ocean cleanup ourselves, but we collaborate with NGOs or national programs. For example, at the early stage, we had in Spain a national program in Basque countries, and it was in collaboration, and we revalue all the plastic PET waste which has been retrieved during the program. So it's really about collaboration, and it's collaboration along all the chain. What we are doing, we are catalyzing all the energy and making possible what is not possible to do alone. So ocean cleanup, for example, or NGOs, or depend. We have new, for example, at the moment we're working on two new very major projects for us, and we are quite advanced in North Africa, and here we've got very good operation in line and protecting also or stopping the plastic into the Mediterranean Sea. So we do not operate ourselves, but we are creating all the chain and securing the traceability, securing the chain of custody, and then the consistency of the material, and etc.
Thanks, Michel. And just to follow up really on something you mentioned, which was your Arch project. You get it. I mean, this is. I understand this is a project to encourage European countries to get engaged with the program. I mean, how's that being received? Are you getting any pushback? Is it a real challenge to get people engaged?
Okay, thanks, Bruno, to ask me the question about this project. So I'm very pleased to speak about this. The Arch, like the Arch of Noah, we are here to speak about how to change the paradigm of the way that we are interacting with our environment. The Arch is really a very inspirational and powerful project, which will be launched now next month, in fact. And it's a 3-year project in order to, it's a European project, even to accelerate the ecological transition. It's a very inspirational one because it will engage not only, it will engage all businesses to support and drive European countries to promote their sustainable solution, mainly on mobility, health, energy, city and housing, digital industry 4.0 and digitalization. And it's an event we will showcase across all Europe, engaging all European countries, all the different clusters of innovation, and raising strongly awareness at consumer level with citizens during the 3 years. So the first phase is 2021 November to launch and start to communicate about the project in order to engage companies and industries, brands, clusters, also cities and authorities, countries. The 2022 will be to engage into a great contest supporting the innovation in Europe on these 5 topics I mentioned. So I repeat: mobility, health, well-being, Industry 4.0, energy and city and smart city and living. And during 23, it will be there will be the event by itself with inspirational cruise with a new boat, a boat which will be the Arch, which is a sustainable using sustainable energy, and we will cruise across nearly all the European countries. Major countries are open to the seas, and highlighting the new technologies and engaging cities and citizens to a new era. 70 years ago, Europe was rebuilt or grow on the Europe of charcoal. Now it's time to bring Europe to the transition, ecological transition. This is about the Arch. Like the symbol of the Arch, when the Noah Arch on board a couple of each animals before that we have the flow. It's the time to move also before that it's becoming too late, to change the paradigm and to engage everyone into a sustainable way of living. So that's about the Arch, and anyone who is interested can approach me. That would be my pleasure, and to introduce how they can be part of this fantastic event and fantastic journey, which would be 21, 22, 23. And just last things, just to say, it's under this project will be also is entering into under the European the Ministry of French Ministry of Europe. So it's a high-level project.
Great,
so
thanks.
It's hard to say this in shortcut, but this is I try to summarize.
No, that's good. Thank you, Michel. And as Michel says, if you've got any further questions, he's very pleased to answer those directly. So we got a further question on Paper Lab, but also we are coming towards the end of our session, and I want one more question at the end of that to everybody. And I'll give you a little bit of warning while we deal with the Paper Lab question, and that is, what is your hopes for COP26? So with that question, if you'd like to have a think about that, Henning, could Paper Lab be regarded as part of sharing economy within collaboration of companies? This is from Carolina. I think this is around using Paper Lab as a resource for, a number of companies because of the, the size and the cost issues that it might present. What do you think about that?
Okay. In principle, a collaboration is the most powerful way to overcome the issues on climate change. Climate mitigation can only be done if we all work together. And you were asking about COP26. And COP26 is the venue where all the countries have to commit. I'm a little bit pessimistic on this collaboration because the interests are very diverse. But I strongly believe we can only achieve things when we work together. That is, from my side, a more general remark. In terms of sharing a solution like Paper Lab, yes, that is a basic need if companies cannot collect enough paper, especially under digitalization. There are two strategies. One is go completely paperless. The other strategy is, yes, we have a need for producing paper, and then we keep it in the loop. And if there's not a big enough production of or productivity on paper in the company, yes, they can share. And for example, we are here in our area, we're collecting paper, producing paper, and the the question is that on a security level aligned with other companies? Yeah, I don't want to share my paper with other companies if there's confidential material on it or confidential information on it. But on general printed, general purpose paper, yes, that is the way how we can extend that collaboration.
Very good, very good. Okay, over to Ali then. Your hopes and expectations and anticipations for COP26?
So could you please repeat it so that I kind of missed some part of your question? So that,
yeah, I mean, we got COP26 coming up in Glasgow in November. So what is, have you got any kind of expectations or hopes to that, you know, outcomes from this meeting?
So because we are facing several challenges in environmental issues, I really hope that the sooner we have a challenging target and we have a joint understanding that we commit to do the things. So I'm fully convinced that engineers can make machines and processes, and chemists can solve the chemistries and so on. And if we are, say, fact-based, and we trust what our, say, nature scientists are telling us and following it, so that we will have a very good chances to make this world markedly better. We have made it several times, like already on my lifetime. So there was a haunt that there is no forest in Europe because of acid rains. There is no acid rains anymore. There is a huge cut down in CO2 emissions, and it's ongoing. So the issue is that when you recognize the problem, you more or less know soon that also the answer. But you have to recognize the problem and be ready to make the results. And that is what I expect from all the meetings where people are coming together. So putting the challenges and committing to fulfill them.
Thank you, Professor Ali. Michel, any thoughts about COP26?
From my side, I would say that if we want to have a chance to reduce the climate, to slow down I forgot the word in English, but you will understand, the climate change, I would say.
Yeah.
And if we want also to reduce how we pollute the pollution, we have to switch quickly, as quick as possible, from fossil energy to renewable energy. But the problem is, at the same time, the amount of materials, minerals, metals we need to build this new energy will not slow down, but will speed up the climate change. So the only way is really how we develop, what kind of solution, and how we improve waste management and technology to bring company to more quickly to eco-conception, to disrupt the way they produce, they design and produce materials using recyclable and recycled material, but also eco-designing and eco-producing. That's the only way to stop to impact our environment and to reuse as much as possible the resource we took from us, from the environment. That's the only way. And I believe that this is where we need to focus. But to do that, we need to create ecosystem which incentivize all the different stakeholders. Whatever, if it's a consumer, an individual, a company, a community, or territories, we need to create models which incentivize, and the only way is to create value for others. And I'm working on this kind of aspect. So as SQL for me is a starting point. And I think that if we can create the right ecosystem in this aspect, and that's why I'm a great fan of what's the objective of behind the arch, is really to provide to businesses and company consistent material, consistent recycled material, and help them to develop products which are recyclable, and to develop a close link on a circular loop to be able to bring back the waste into a new material. That's the only way from my point of view.
Thank you very much. Bérengère, would you like to add to that?
I totally agree. While I share Henning's pessimism, I also agree with Michel and the fact that we have to integrate more and more and earlier environmental and social aspects within the conception and the design of products, and more generally during the whole life cycle of everything we produce and we create. That's what we are trying to do at Epson. We do our best to emphasize those aspects in accordance with the SDGs that we use as a compass, basically.
And have learned from it. I certainly have, and I think the presentations, I really want to thank all of the people here. Michel Schepter and Ali Harlan, and then Bérengère Gazand, and then thank you, Henning.
Bruno, hang on 1 second, guys. I'd like to thank Bruno for putting us together, this interesting, very diverse group of experts. Yeah, I appreciated that very much. And Bruno, very well done. Big hand from my side. Many thanks.
Thanks, Bruno.
You're welcome. And thank you, everybody. And thank you, all the attendees, for participating in this lovely roundtable. And hopefully we will learn from it and gain from it. And Godspeed with you all. Thank you.